Um, Kind of like these are like the outtakes, like the little snippets before the show.
Yes, exactly. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, and I hope we dive into this today, right? But I think the word authenticity has totally been drugged through the mud, and all of a sudden, like authenticity is some sort of bad thing. I'm like, you be you, and
Yeah.
and as I spent some time on your page, you're you, and you don't pull any punches, and that's why you've been successful in social media, clearly.
Yeah, we will talk about that. Authenticity is one of my least favorite words, not because I don't love being authentic, but it's overused and underexplained.
Yeah, and it's just it's sad that such a great thing has become kind of negative in a certain sort of way.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk about that. So we'll definitely get into that.
Sweet. Get another.
How's Brian doing, Chelsea?
He's doing well. Mason's doing good. How's your girls doing? Dressed up in princess gear, I'm sure.
All day, all day.
Yeah. You guys are still. I'm dealing with the first one that left the nest. Our daughter went to college.
I don't want to talk about it. I can't.
It's weird. It's very odd.
I can't do it. I'm not ready.
Yeah, we're not ready either, but it happened anyway.
What are you doing with yourselves now? Like, what do you do?
Well, we have two boys aside from that.
Okay, so you still have projects.
We're not empty nesters, but the Craig. The first one left the nest, and it's hard. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. You're like, it's like this weird absence in the room.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's not very loud or boisterous or anything. She probably just spent most of her time in her room working on stuff. But still, when everybody comes down to dinner, there's a person missing at the table.
Yeah. Oh man, my heart goes out to you guys.
But she's close by. I know that a lot of people, their kids go off to college very far away. So I feel blessed that she's 2 hours away and we see her at least once a month.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Good for you guys.
But it's fresh. The wounds are still fresh. All right. Well, I like to start as close as possible to 11 o'clock. So let's rock and roll. Thank you both for joining me today, and for our Momentum Builder family. One of these individuals, a speaker at Momentum Builder and part of our community, Arjun Dhingra, is joining us today. And as we always ask you for advice, trying to figure out how we can bring the most amount of value to our community, we asked Arjun, being part of our think tank and part of our inner circle, hey, who do you think we should bring on? And Chelsea's name came up. And after reviewing your social media presence, I thought it would be so much fun. And sometimes a world that's all about money and finances and hard deals and all this stuff that's not cool, I was like, I want to have fun. Let's do this.
Yes.
So Arjun, if you could tell us a little bit more about Chelsea, that'd be awesome.
Well, I think fun is a good transition point, because like Chelsea, who's become a very dear and close friend over the years, she just exudes fun in everything she does, right? Like that just comes out, which is the real her. And, it's an overused word, like we were talking about offline here, authentic. It's something more than that. It's just very genuine and it's real, and fun is what comes out in everything she does. There's a lot of love and just real character in anything she puts out, which is why people are drawn to her. So a lot of you may not know this about Chelsea. And Gino, thanks as always, brother, the entire Momentum Builder community, for putting things on like this on a regular basis to help people. Like, that's how you and I connected. I'm such a fan of it. So I applaud you for doing it and appreciate everything you do for our industry, brother. But people don't know this about Chelsea, who, you guys are in for an absolute treat today with her, but she used to be a realtor. And I didn't know that until probably a good few years into our friendship. But I met her when she first spoke, when I was just getting started in my social media journey and trying to take up my online visibility. She spoke on a panel and did a little bit of a keynote because she dominated it, because she was so good, at a Gary Vaynerchuk event in Miami. And I was really drawn to everything that she was saying, and it made a lot of sense and resonated. Then I started following her and came to realize that some of the absolute best education you can get on marketing yourself and being really, really present online and strong with a brand as an agent, as a lender, anything. But really for us, we're lucky because she comes from that frame of reference. And for a lot of us, that's who we're actually trying to attract, our real estate agents. That's the cap that she used to wear. So she gets it. She knows what's actually going to connect. But I was very drawn to her, and my journey took off, and she's been a huge, huge cornerstone and inspiration for everything that I've done. And those of you that follow her and know her and you've purchased one of her books, she's a 2-time best-selling author. Just want to throw that in there as well. So she's spoken at Inman, and I think there was an award she won at Inman, which was most influential marketer, Chelsea. Yes. So
yeah, something like that. I don't remember yes, most influential marketer 2023 and 24.
she's also the most humble marketer, one of the most humble marketers.
Yeah, I'm the one that doesn't market myself. Yeah.
She remembered. So I want everyone, like, of course, be ready to have some fun with this. Embrace it. Take a lot of good notes, because everything she shares with you is just scratching the surface. But I promise you, if you implement some things and take note of it, this is stuff that you can start making change and impact with right now, today. And that's the whole purpose of why we're here, right? It's not just listen up to some stuff and then tune out. No, let's put stuff to action here. Let's make shit happen. Let's effing go. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend, Chelsea Peitz. It's all yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here. I love it when I'm in a group of great friends. So I just thank you so much for the warm welcome. Just a very quick snippet of my background as a real estate agent. I actually was going to be a therapist. I went to school and got my degree in clinical psychology. I wanted to be a therapist. I'm fascinated by neuroscience and psychology, which you're going to hear about. And I'm highly empathic and emotional and sensitive. And I was like, probably not a good idea for me to be crying all day with my clients. So I didn't end up becoming a therapist. And I always joke that I became a realtor, which is basically the next best thing. And I never intended to become a realtor, like many of us probably did not intend to be in the mortgage or, real estate business. We sort of found ourselves in it. And I got out of it in 2008 as a full-time realtor. We were just talking about that prior to going live here. There was a little bit of a meltdown, and it was really hard to sit across from families in their kitchen who were crying and saying, I don't know what to do, and I don't know if we're going to be able to keep our house. And I was losing my house too. And so I ended up switching over into serving the industry in a way that I thought, well, I can do something here and I can help realtors understand how to grow their business and to market. And this was before social media was a thing. Like, friends, I got licensed in 2001 BF. The BF is before Facebook. I did business the old fashioned way because we did not use Facebook for business. And so the idea of talking to your phone and creating content with you in it was super weird for me. I am a Gen Xer. I grew up with the encyclopedia. Like, somebody knocked on the door one day and my parents bought it. All I had was a letter at a time. I tell my son, like, once you got to the end of letter E, that was it. Like, you weren't learning anything else. So I thought it was really strange to talk to people online. And what I discovered after many years of using social media is that I felt like I knew these people. And that's kind of like how it is with Arjun and all of these people. We're like, God, this is so weird that I felt like I knew these people. And so I decided to spend a year researching brains, biology, and behavior. And what I found is that there actually is a neuroscience to building trust online, and that our brains have no idea that we're seeing a face or eye contact through a screen versus in real life. And if you want to actually exponentially accelerate building trust online, especially with people that have never met you and perhaps have just been referred to you by someone they trust, if we don't see your face and hear your voice, have the person, the personality, and perspective, you can still be successful. You can have great tips. You can have a great text-based Canva tips on your platform. Maybe you don't have your face in there at all, but you will exponentially accelerate that process if you're in it. And so that's really what I talk about, is the psychology and neuroscience of how to do social media on your terms that aligns with you. That doesn't mean you have to post every day. That doesn't mean you have to have a studio or a videographer. And how do we actually create content that's going to convert? And I'm also really big on addressing limiting beliefs around, but wait, it's so saturated and every lender now is on Instagram making video content and every topic has been talked about. And how am I going to add to the conversation? And oh, by the way, there's compliance. And I'm also a little bit worried about being the expert and telling people that they should do this or that with their finances, because what if they disagree? And what if something bad happens? Or what if I give bad advice? So if any of that sounds a little bit relatable to you, drop it in the chat, let me know. Or, I think there's some emojis here that you can click on. But that's a little bit about me and what I focus on and how I do it differently. So we're going to have a little bit of social media therapy here, if that's okay with everyone. And I'm going to give a lot of permission about what you're allowed to do, and that you don't have to do it whatever way that I do it, that Arjun does it. And so all of those things that we'll talk about today. So Gino, is it cool if I just roll with it and keep talking?
I just want to ask one quick thing. Like, I want people to understand, like, what's making me feel better about my social media presence is, listen, I'm not an influencer. and I'm not trying to get a million views. So it's made me feel so much better to understand. Somebody put it to me this way: how many people did you reach this week? I said, well, maybe this week I got 3,000 views. And it says, well, this week 3,000 people know that you exist. Would you have been able to do that in the past in person? If you had to meet with 3,000 people, how were you going to do that? I'm like, that would have been impossible. And so 3,000 is a wonderful number. Any number bigger than what you could have reached in person in the past is a win. And so that's made me feel better, because if I reach, because otherwise, I got a million, this person got a million views. I need a million views or I'm totally useless.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. People know I exist. This 3,000 people were reminded that I exist this week. So I feel good about little wins.
I totally agree with that. And I want to remind everybody that my philosophy is that it's about having a viable audience, not a viral audience. It's a viable video, not a viral video. And here's why that's so important. Because as you said, I think probably the most people who are probably on this call, if not everyone, we remember a time when we did things in person only, because that is the only way we could do it. We remember before 2020. And now we also remember that we're never going back. Like, Zoom is awesome. I'm never going to give that up. That's great. We can all be here together. It's not as good as being in person, but all of us had this aha moment where we were like, whoa, okay, I can talk to my parents that I haven't seen in 2 years because of this thing that's going on and we can't travel or whatever. And when I tell them that I miss you guys and I love you, no one's going to be like, that's not real. It's real. It's social media isn't not real. Like, there is a real connection that can be had. And 25 years ago, I'd walk into my broker would say the same thing. How many people did you talk to today? Oh man, it was so busy. Like, I had breakfast with someone, then I came into the office and did my paperwork, and I went on a broker tour, and then I met somebody for listings. I saw 3 people today. And the beautiful thing about social media, this is for all the people out here who are listening, who are like, I get it. If I go to one more class about you have to do social media and video, I'm going to absolutely pull my hair out. But I'm here because I feel like I have to be. Here's the thing. You don't have to use social media the way that you think most people are using it. And let me tell you exactly why. You don't even have to post content, but you know what you have in your hands is the most powerful CRM on the planet, because 25 years ago, we needed a phone number and an email and a postage, and I had to mail something and wait for you to open it before you threw it away as you looked at it for a second. We do not need any piece of information now to connect with another human being who is probably spending more attention and time on their DMs and their notifications than they are in their email inbox. So I love that also, because it's no excuses. I'm telling you, you don't have to post content if you don't want to. Don't worry, we are going to talk about content. But imagine this. Imagine it's Arjun's little girl's birthday, and I'm such a huge fan, and she's going to live with me one day, and I absolutely adore her. So of course, I'm going to look at social media. I'm going to see it's her birthday. She's, of course, having a pretty princess party. We're all dressing up as princesses. And maybe Auntie Chelsea decides to go ahead and just, send her a little something from Target that's a princess outfit. And Arjun's like, oh my God, thank you so much. That's so sweet. And she's so excited. Did I leave a comment on his story where it was about her birthday? No, but I used the moment, the information, and the data to then go make someone's freaking day. Right? Like, how many of us have made someone's day in a while? Probably not a lot of us, right? It's just one small little kindness. It can be reaching out in a text and saying, hey, I haven't seen your stories in a while. Just checking to see if you're okay, right? So we have a really powerful tool where we can build real relationships through technology and trust and make someone feel seen. So if nothing else, take that away from today, that you can grow your relationships with your past clients or current clients or referral partners by using this incredible tool. I can't do that with email. I love email. All of you should be building your email list with your lead magnets from Instagram and all of the places. But when my email goes out to my database, I have no idea what's happening in their lives. I know exactly what might be happening in someone's life on social media. So it's really a 2.0 CRM, and it's free, and you don't need any information to connect with them to make someone's day, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to talk about is, Gino, you mentioned you're not an influencer. None of us are really technically influencers. I mean, certainly some people may have numbers that may say, oh, if you're over this amount of followers, you could be, but every single one of us is influential. And so the point of that is that people are are coming to these social platforms, and my favorite quote of all time, people come for the plot, they stay for the characters. And the problem is we just don't think we're characters worth staying for. We're like, I have a boring job. I'm in lending. Like, who cares about that? Like interest rates, like, ugh. And we also think to ourselves, because I was raised this way. I don't know if you guys were raised sort of in this type of mindset, but my parents told me over and over and over and over again when I was growing up, don't talk about yourself. That's no, we don't talk about ourselves. You need to be humble. You need to be, you know, not egotistical. We don't brag. We don't boast. And so a lot of us
Chelsea,
think like,
I missed that lesson growing up.
that's how I was raised. And so I get how it feels a little weird to put you in your content all the time, right? And so we have all these like hangups about showing up online. And really, it's all about connecting with the people. And the secret, the punchline, friends, is the algorithm could care less about what kind of content you post. Yes, okay, you got a great video that kept people watching for 30 seconds. They're going to give you more reach, right? They're going to be like, hey, Arjun, that was great. We're going to show you out to more people. But let's be really clear about what these platforms are looking for. They're looking for you to invest your time in it. That's not always a positive. I go down the rabbit hole. I'm a parent of somebody who's going to be on social media in a few years, and I don't love that. But think about, what are they competing against? TV, your phone, and email. That's it. That's it, right? They're not competing Facebook against TikTok. Yeah, you could say that. So they got really smart, like we talked about, and they made it so that every single person can contact anyone in the world for free without having to pay for it. Remember in the 90s, you were like, oh, you're on T-Mobile, I'm on Verizon. I can't send you any texts because then I have to pay for it. Or when I was like 12 and my mom came in and said, did you make a 13-minute phone call long distance? We don't have that anymore. So smart on the socials part, right? Because what happens now, we DM people all the time. And then you get to the conference and you're at like the Momentum conference. And you're like, hey, we're going to meet for happy hour. Oh my God, wait, I don't even have your phone number. I've been DMing you for 2 years, right? Or 2 months or whatever it is. So we are invested in a communication platform. Every time I send a direct message to someone, they're going to get a notification. And what happens? Psychology. We have an itch. We need to scratch it, because when we are in social media, we believe that people are commenting and talking about us. Now, not consciously, maybe Gino's consciously, but not consciously. And we're like, ooh, what are they saying? They probably said something nice or are talking to us. And then you open it up and there's, you know, a meme or some kind of comment on your post. And so now you have that reinforcement. Now you've created a habit and a hook that feels good. And you've got dopamine, right? And so every time I talk to someone, they're more likely to go and open that versus an email, right? So we're not all excited to open up our emails, but we see that and we think, oh, I need to know what they said. We go and we open it. It's something nice. We have this loop and we're like, oh, that was awesome. Well, here's the great thing about this too. The more you talk to people, the algorithm says, whoa, wait a minute. You're talking to this person on purpose. Like, that's a 100% accurate data point. If I look at dog videos and cooking videos and fitness videos, it's got to make some sort of mathematical prediction. It's not going to be 100% accurate. It's going to say, well, you've looked at this stuff. Let's maybe serve you a few of these things to see if she'll like it too. But the fact that I sent a DM to Gino, it's going to 100% know, ding, ding, ding. All right. We think these people want to see more of each other's content in the future. So let's do this. Let's resort Chelsea's feed and let's resort Gino's feed so that the next time either one of them posts something, even if it's once a week, they're not going to miss it. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, the most important thing that you can do, number one, not content, it's engaging. It's your conversations. It's thinking of your content as conversations or your conversations as the content. And then you don't have to stress like, oh God, it's Wednesday and it's content day and I have to make 3 reels and I really don't want to do it. We'll get there. But number one, it's a great CRM. Number two is it's all about who you're talking to, not what you're posting. And when you are intentional with the people that you are engaging with, that you are commenting with, that you're DMing, and I'm not talking about polite spam. Hey, if I can help you, get some information about refinance. Did you see those interest rates went down? No. That's for you, not for them.
Yeah.
And what we are doing is, what would you do in real life? What would you do if you ran into him at the school pickup? What would you do if you ran into him at Target? Would you say, oh my gosh, how are you? Hey, have you thought about refinancing? We wouldn't do that at Target, right? That would be weird. So why are we doing it on social media? So a lot of us have this divide in our minds of this is real life, this is social media, so I can act differently. But that's not the case. And so what happens is we're thinking we're being nice, and we're being polite. We're like, hey, if I can ever help you out, or hey, did you know that this happened? You might be able to save some money. Well, that's not rude, but
Yeah.
it's polite spam.
Hey,
And so,
Chelsea, I have a
yeah, go
question for
ahead.
you too.
Go for it.
On a tactical
Mhm.
front, you gave this advice one time, either on a webinar or some stage that I was listening, about an engagement strategy that you use. You called it 20 deep, 20 wide. And I still do it to this day. Is there
Yeah.
something else that you do? I know that might be old news, but do you
Yeah.
have anything tactically that everyone can employ today as a strategy for outbound
Yes.
engagement?
So you can make it any number you want. You can do 5, 5, 5, 10, 10, 10, 20, 20, 20, whatever you want to do, right? So my goal is to keep you intentional so you're not going down the rabbit hole, because I love nothing more than saying, oh, I'm tired. Let me just sit down and look at Instagram, and spending 2 hours watching reels. I love it. I know myself and I'm self-aware. And then we forget to engage, which is another point I want to come back to. So I'm writing down engagement. Don't let me forget that. But I said, well, let me make this a game, right? Let me, instead of scheduling it and putting on my calendar and being like, it's time for engagement time, let me make it a game. And so I just called it 10, 10, 10. And this particularly resonates on Facebook and on Instagram, not so much on TikTok, although TikTok does have stories. But I want you to not only comment on stuff that's in the home feed, I want you to comment on stuff in the stories. So the home feed is going to be vertical. You're going to swipe up like this, and then across the top of both Facebook and Instagram, you have stories. So I just put 10 minutes on the timer. I'd go down the feed and I would try to leave as many thoughtful, real comments, not emojis, not the fire emoji, not great video, like actually maybe asking a question and having engagement that proves that you took the time to engage. Even if you fast forward to the middle of the video and you pulled something out to mention that's in the middle of the video, it took time. And so you do 10 down the home feed and then 10 across the stories. And ideally, if you can do it on different people, so you're hitting, 10 different people in the feed, 10 different people in the stories. And you're going to do that for 10 minutes. So if you want to do 5, 5, 5, you're going to go down the feed for 5, you're going to go across the stories for 5, and you're going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And I would recommend doing that morning and night. And some of you might want to do that while you're in bed before you get out of bed. I have personally chosen not to consume content until a certain time of the day, so I no longer do it that way. But it's an easy way to be a little bit more intentional. One other tip that a lot of people don't know about, actually, I'm going to give you 2 tips here. One tip on Instagram is that a lot of people don't know you can create a favorites list. And Facebook used to have friends lists, and they were awesome because you could add people that you wanted to see their content, and you would click that favorite or that friends list, and it would clear out the feed and only show you the posts that were from those people. But guess what? They couldn't put any ads in there. So that's why they don't have it anymore. I mean, this is just my my
Makes sense.
conspiracy theory.
Makes
But
sense.
on Instagram, y'all can put, I think, up to like 50 accounts. And so what a great way to be intentional and like make sure you do not miss anyone's content, and also go down the feed, clear it out. All you have to do is click the Instagram logo at the top of your Instagram app, hit the logo, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, a drop down appears and it says favorites, and you can create your own favorites list. So that's one really good tip to not waste time and get trapped in the rabbit hole. The other one that's really important to know is that in the settings of Instagram, there is a setting that you can turn on. I think it's under account privacy. You can turn on a setting that says SEO. It's about SEO enablement. And what that means is that if you toggle that on, your Instagram content will now show up in Google search results. So we're used to seeing YouTube, and now you're seeing LinkedIn, but that's a bigger picture of why you should be on social media. Because when somebody types in a question about home finances and mortgage and interest rates, it's not just going to show websites anymore. It's going to show LinkedIn posts and Instagram and all of these social media posts, your YouTube videos. And so it's a really, really good way for you to be found in search organically because you're creating content, but you need to turn on that little toggle switch.
So on that note, Chelsea, I do want to bring up one thing. the settings are different on your phone than they are on the actual
Yes.
website.
Yes.
And look, I started using Instagram website for like the first time ever recently, and it's
Mhm.
ugly and it's clumsy and I can't find anything, so I don't like it.
I recommend only phone, because you're right. It looks different. It's weird. It glitches out sometimes. So
But
try
from a
to do
settings
everything from your
standpoint,
phone.
some of the settings you can only find on the website are important. I know that because I
Yes.
follow people that say,
Yes.
don't make one more post without going to do this first. And of course,
Yeah.
I've taken 7 screenshots of people that say that. I
Yes.
still haven't done it because I don't
Yeah,
have anything on the
exactly.
computer
It's just
to
like
do.
all the things I'm saving in Instagram and TikTok and never go back to.
Yes, yes. That's
Yeah.
a thing. What do we call that? Hoarder?
What's that?
We're like
What?
I'm like a post hoarder or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. We have good intentions, right? And so
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
this is a
gonna do
reminder.
this. Yeah.
Go back and look at your stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's important to know that there's a few settings for that, but overall, you know, those are some really good things to start with. Like, use it as a CRM. If you're not ready to be on there or make videos, you know, that's an easy way to. It just gives you such an advantage to be able to communicate with your clients, and maybe even not through it, but outside of that, and say, hey, I saw that you and the family were just doing X, Y, and Z. And that lets people feel seen, right? And then using it as a communication tool. And actually, I tell people who are posting, if you're not seeing a lot of engagement from your posting, you need to be engaging. And people are like, oh yeah, okay, well, yeah. And I'm like, they're like, my engagement's low, which I'll circle back now to engagement. And I'm like, okay, well, are you engaging? And they're like, well, not really. And it's like that old adage, like, if you want good friends, you better be a good friend. And it's like, if you want engagement, you better be a good engager, because that's what drives the algorithm. And so I tell people, just stop posting, like, just focus on being a super fan of other people's content for a while, like commenting, engaging, sharing people's content. Huge. Like, in my mind, the share, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, when people share my stuff, I'm literally like, thank you so much. Like, that is a huge, huge activity, because now we're just so used to watching it like TV, right? A share is a big action that people take. So another thing that I want to tell people, because I know a lot of people are discouraged right now. They're like, I'm doing social media, I'm making the post, I'm even making reels, and I'm doing it weekly, and I feel like nothing's happening. What's the deal? I've taken enough of these online webinars where somebody came on and said, just keep going, and eventually it's going to work. And I feel like I'm doing it, and nothing yet. So I want to tell you a little bit about sort of what's happening and how these platforms are training our consumption and engagement, because it's probably not your content. In some cases it is, and I can give you some small tweaks about how we can up the engagement. But a lot of times, if you think about it, like 10 years ago, we weren't Facebook friends with anyone we didn't know in real life. Like, it was weird when somebody sent us a friend request and we're like, who is this person, right? We are now living in a world of TikTok and Instagram, and it's coming to Facebook too, where we no longer are only seeing the community of people that we said, I want to follow these people. Our home feed on Instagram is 50% people we don't know, that they're saying, hey, check this out. You go over to the Reels feed, it's no one you know. And it's also like TV. It's just, you open it and it's like, boom, here it is. Okay, great. Yep. Next. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't engage with people I don't know. Like, I need to really see them a lot of times. I might like, maybe I'll share, but I'm not sending someone a DM. I'm probably not even commenting unless they're saying, hey, comment the word X to get this. So what I'm telling you is that engagement may or may not be down, but engagement is different. And if you're only looking at comments and views and you're saying, gosh, I feel like I used to get more engagement, you probably did. Think about how we engage on these feeds. We just watch like TV, and I don't know any of these people, and I'm watching a new episode from a new TV show every single time.
Every
And
two
then
and a half seconds.
yes. And so our brain is like on this dopamine fire. And then we go back over to the people that we know, like the stories and the home feed, and then we forget to engage because I've just been sitting here for an hour like this, laughing, maybe double tapping it and not commenting. And so I want you to know that these platforms have really trained some of this engagement out of us. And so it's not that you should give up on content. It's not that your messaging sucks. It's that we just don't engage in the same way that we used to. So a lot of people are freaking out right now because they're like, it's got to be me. I should just give this up. And you just have to keep going because people will approach you, whether it's digitally or in person. And this literally happened to me a week and a half ago. This lady came to one of my master classes. It was in person, sat down in the front. And then as I was finishing up, she goes, you know what? Didn't even tell me your name. She goes, you know what? I saw that you were talking about your coaching program 6 months ago. And then I had surgery. And then, I didn't get to do it. And then I saw that you were talking about it like 3 months ago for the next one. And so I just wanted to sign up. And this lady has never DM'd me. I've never commented. I didn't know this person's name. I never did get this person's name. Like while we were chatting, people are silently connecting and consuming. And that is how this world works, right? You've got to love your lurkers because y'all are lurkers. I'm lurking with love. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's been a while since I've engaged. And so one other thing on that topic, because this is a really big limiting belief. This is a pushback I get every single time I teach, especially in this world. Okay. The question of, yeah, but Chelsea, like, all right, I'm on board with social media. I get it. I'm on board with making educational videos, but like, you cannot tell me how showing what my coffee order at Starbucks this morning, how that's going to help me get more business. How is that going to help me build credibility and authority online as a trusted advisor? You tell me that, right? And also, or it's I'm a private person. So I'm going to tell you exactly. Craig says it makes you human. Yes, but I'm going to tell you exactly. Small talk leads to big talk. As human beings, we must have psychologically safe small talk. What do we always talk about? The weather. Oh my God, wherever you go, whoever you meet, that's what you start talking about. You're like, wow, this weather's wild, right? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's cooling down, whatever. If we don't have small talk, things that are mundane and human and have literally nothing to do with you helping me finance my home, what happens is you're giving me low barrier of entry content points where then I can initiate safely because I don't know you yet. Maybe I've never met you in person. And so I need a couple of opportunities to then open up a conversation with you. I'm not going to open up a conversation with you when you're talking about interest rates. I'm not going to open up a conversation with you when I'm nervous that you're going to look at all my financial stuff. Like you look at the stuff that we don't even talk about in public with friends and family. Like it's like, ooh, this is scary. And so if you don't have those small talk moments, people aren't going to initiate conversation. The more you initiate conversation, the more safety you feel, the more I feel like I can trust this person so that when you've had 20, 30, 100 small talk moments, and eventually you're still talking about what you do and how you help people because that's important and you're educating. And then that's the one where I actually ask a question. So can I exactly correlate a deal or transaction from the fact that I showed my dog in her turtleneck yesterday? Probably not. But I know for a fact that people who have hired me and work with me mention my dog by her name. And so it's really important to know that while we can't quantify all of those small talk moments, it's not that if you never talked about anything human, like you could do a video every single day just about finance. Yes, you can build trust. You can build authority. You will exponentially get there faster and have way more incoming conversations if you show some of the non-finance related stuff. And it's wild. I mean, when I say exponentially, I mean, how many of us would want to shorten our sales cycle per se by 50 to 75%? Like it's just, it's amazing to me. And then you get to the point like where I'm at, where people say, well, how do you like get all booked for all of your keynotes? I go, they find me. and they're shocked. They're like, really? You're not working with a bureau? You don't have an agent? Nope. How amazing that people come to my DMs. Why? Because somebody referred them, and social media is usually the last checkbox on a list. A human being started it, they referred me, just like Gino, right? Arjun was like, you need to meet Chelsea. And then Gino's like, okay, well, I trust you, Arjun. So like, I guess I'll give her a stalk online. And then he stalked online and was like, huh, well, I guess this person probably does know what they're talking about. I mean, I'm sure he didn't watch all 300 of my videos, but even if he scanned them, he was like, dang, she probably knows what she's talking about. Just
And
because
I'm
making
going to say
videos.
something about that
Yeah,
because in a very small amount of time, I was able to get to know you like this, right? Like
exactly.
maybe 10 reels max.
Mhm.
I was like, because all I was curious was, what's this person about?
Right.
Right. That's what it is. And so as you're talking about this, the one thing that's going on in my head, and I never thought of social media this way, is like, I just walked into a mixer. Like,
Yeah.
how do you approach people at a mixer? What do you talk about when you go to a mixer? Now it's a lot easier because you have a drink in your hand usually. So, so maybe if you want to feel a little bolder in your social media, have a drink before you go on, but not 10 drinks. But I'm just thinking about it. It's kind of like a mixer. And,
Yeah.
you talked about lurking, and Troy makes a statement here about lurking as well. And it's been a successful strategy for him. In the beginning of social media, there was on Facebook, there was only two kinds of people. You're either a exhibitionist or a
Mhm.
voyeur, right?
Mhm.
That's really like, once you identify what you are, then you've got to work at the other one.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, it's okay to lurk, it's okay to be a voyeur, it's okay to just comment and do stuff, but if you're trying to get something back,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you gotta post, you have to show about yourself. And my number one post in history was me teaching how to make an espresso. How to make
Yep.
a cup of coffee is my most seen video. Nothing about mortgages, nothing
Yes.
about intelligent stuff. No, it's
Yeah.
let me show you how to make a really good cup of coffee.
Exactly.
And that's my best post
Exactly.
ever.
Exactly. It's kind of like I was coaching a speaker actually the other day, and I was telling her, I go, okay, when you get on stage and you're talking to this audience, that's what your posts are like. Okay. That's what your reels are like, because it's kind of just going out to everyone. But those magic moments when you get to go backstage and maybe you meet someone who was in the audience and they were like, oh my gosh, I loved what you said about X, Y, and Z. And it just really hit me. And I just want to say thank you. That was awesome. That's what happens in the DMs and the stories. And then she was like, oh, I got it. I'm like, so you need both, because people aren't going to end up backstage to talk to you about your keynote unless you give the keynote. And so it's one of those things about, putting that together. I love it. Did they put your coffee
They
video?
put my coffee link. I'm gonna go look at it now. I got squirreled.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
Yes, that's part one. It
Part
is.
one and part two.
Yeah. Well, it was
A
too long.
series. You need a
I could
coffee. You
only.
need a caffeine series.
Yeah. Well, and when I run into people, and not to go into the word, we talked a little bit about authenticity not being like that word has been trashed. I feel like personal brand has also been trashed. But just to make it super simple, it's like when I walk and bump into someone somewhere and they're like, oh, hey, you're the meat guy, you're the barbecue guy. Okay, well, so nobody ever says you're the mortgage guy. They all tell me I'm the barbecue guy. And
Right.
so, but I'm okay with that. But just know that that's your personal brand. Whatever people know you for, that's your personal brand. If you don't like it, then change what you're saying and doing, because that's what people are seeing and that's their perception of you.
Yeah. And I want to mention one thing, because we did kick this off with the words that we, love and love to hate. Authenticity and value happen to be my two. And the reason that I don't like them isn't because I don't believe in them. It's a cornerstone of my teaching and my coaching. But what's challenging is that these are things that are overused and underexplained, just like personal brand. And so a lot of people think authenticity means oversharing. And authenticity means, knowing what your personal brand is, knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're not good at, knowing if you're just an awkward person, knowing if you're a funny person, knowing if you're a serious person, knowing if you like to wear leopard print and have rainbows behind you. Like that is knowing your personal style and brand and your vibe. And I just want to mention that value, yeah, we get it. Like if we go to one more thing where they're like, you've got to provide value in your content. Well, obviously I didn't want to provide not value. I get it. But like how? And how do I do it differently than everybody else? And I want to mention that value comes in all shapes and sizes. The value could be, again, making someone's day, sharing their content. You don't have to have this box around value of it got X amount of shares, this many views. And if I don't do something educational, it's not value, because your educational content is not likely ever going to go viral. It's not meant to. It's there to create a binge-worthy library that when someone stalks you for the next time you're going to go present on their webinar and they're like, this person knows what they're talking about and I know what they're all about, done. That's what it's for. It's also for the person who at 2 a.m. is like, I cannot sleep and I'm just going to watch like 13 of these videos back to back to back to back to back. And they've made the decision. So it's not about creating anything viral. It's about making the boring content. It's about making the content that
Yep.
is going to be educational, build your brand and thought leadership and have a perspective in it, because we only follow people with perspectives. We don't follow people that are just like, oh yeah, and everything and all of the above, and I could go either this way or that. We follow people that have a personality and a perspective. People don't follow me typically if they don't like somebody that's joyful and happy and positive and likes small dogs, because that's who I am. And a lot of people follow me because of that. So we are in some ways self-selecting the people that are in our community. And Gino hit it on the head. If your community or if your posts that you're seeing, if your feed is a hot mess dumpster fire, that is on you. You need to tell it, I don't want to see this. Hide this, mute this. I only want to see this, because we spend a lot of time in these places. And we got to talk about our mental and emotional health too, right? So you should be boundarying and protecting what you are consuming in these social media platforms. And we all know it's getting close to November, so we're probably going to have to like hide and mute some posts.
I have a funny
Yeah.
story about that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
When COVID was happening, my wife one day went on a rant. She's like, I can't stand Instagram. She's like, it's full of this and it's full of that and all these idiots and they're saying this and they're saying that. And I'm looking at mine and I'm like, mine's still fun and cool. Like I was like, so I told her, I go, the problem is your friends. I said, the problem, my friends are still cool and fun and I'm having a good time. Nothing's bad with mine. So
Chelsea's dog. I love it. I love that my dog has made it officially to our chat.
yes.
Love it.
But
I don't think she's in
interestingly
here.
enough, one thing that I love about what you just said is Darren Hardy taught me once long ago to stop watching the news. And I haven't watched the news in years because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we still get news dripping into our feed.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the differences and the power of Instagram is that it does allow you to change your feed.
Mm-hmm.
Where the news, it was just sending you whatever they wanted you to see. Now you can curate information. So I love this. It's take ownership of your feed and make sure that it's bringing value and positivity to your life if that's what you're looking for.
Yep. Exactly. I love Craig says I read the Morning Brew. Yeah. I also have select places that summarize and bullet point it. But yeah, you've got to make it your own. I love opening up my feed. It's like the greatest people, inspiring, motivating, but I had to really curate that. And I also know, like, if I really want a hot mess dumpster fire, I reserve that for like TikTok, because I don't like usually post there. And then I keep my Instagram. Maybe that's LinkedIn for you, wherever that may be. Also, some of you may not know that LinkedIn just rolled out its full vertical video feed. Arjun, are you already posting over there? Because it's basically TikTok inside of LinkedIn. And anytime they roll out something new, like huge reach. So if you've already got stuff, just repurpose it over there, because LinkedIn is really trying to make that thing work.
That's big time. Yeah. I was just I was actually curating LinkedIn specific content, which was in wider form. And that's a content hack for anyone if you just want it. Like if you've got maybe 10 ideas, like Chelsea was saying, you've got a day coming up and you want to shoot content, you've got 10 ideas and I'm going to do these in short form. Okay, then maybe take 5 of them and say, what if I elongated this and spoke a little slower and I wasn't trying to get to the point quite as quick, but I still kept it to about 90 seconds, plus or minus. Now you've got something for LinkedIn. Different cadence, might be the same shoot, but it's curated for that platform. So I started doing that a little more, but then you end up coming up with much more pieces without necessarily reinventing the wheel with ideas. You just squeeze it for more. But yeah, the vertical feature is going to be a game changer. So thanks for that heads up to everybody, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
great
think
time
one
to
thing to
jump
think
in.
about too is who's your audience.
Mhm,
Right? So my audience on Facebook is my friends.
mhm.
My audience on Instagram is friends and not friends.
Yep.
My audience on stories is definitely my friends. My
Mhm.
audience on LinkedIn is my peers and professional relationships. So make sure that the content that you're posting is appropriate to the audience that you're speaking for.
And another point on just exactly what you said is that there's a case to be made for posting on multiple platforms, because the conversations that you're going to have are going to be totally different. Because yes, I may follow you guys on all of those platforms, but I like to hang out on Instagram. So you're going to have a totally different group of people engaging with your content there than they are on Instagram. Because some people are like, well, should I repost the same thing? What if somebody sees it in the 2 places? Well, first of all, none of you can tell me one post you saw yesterday, not one. You can't tell me one post that any of us saw yesterday. So don't worry that you're like, what if people get annoyed? What if they see me too much? They're not even seeing all of your content. And great, if you have Facebook and Instagram connected to each other, awesome. And you want to cross post the stuff, great. You're going to have different conversations with people that are different on Facebook and different on Instagram. So I think it's an efficient strategy to do that. So we've got like 10 minutes or so. I want to open it up for questions. I don't know if you see anything on the Facebook group. I think we're doing in Facebook too, right? Does anybody have
It's been
any
relatively interactive already.
questions in there? Yeah.
I mean, Troy had engaged with the DMs, and I this is something else to understand recently too, is I had to accept that I can't force people to be where I am. I need to meet them where they are. And so in this same vein of what we're talking about, there's people that I can find on each one of these platforms. And so people have different favorites. Like I'm going to throw you under the bus, Arjun. Here it comes. Bus is coming.
Fine.
You might want to dodge it.
Okay.
Sonia goes, I've emailed Arjun like 6 times and he hasn't responded. And I said, Sonia, that's not how he communicates. Send him a
Oh my
DM.
God, that is so true. I say it with love. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't respond to emails.
Well, she said I emailed and texted. And I said, that's not where Arjun lives. I
Instagram.
DM him and he'll respond.
Yeah.
So know who you're trying to communicate with and where do they like to communicate. Right? Because I think it's super important. And you could start, once you start identifying that, I think you could start to see trends of where people are communicating with me. And one thing, and I don't know why this works, but I will tell you that when someone else posts about you and tags you, it's 100,000 times more valuable than when you post something yourself.
Yes.
So if we could do that as a community to help each other, let's share each other's posts. Let's comment on each other's posts. And if we have a story to tell, like Arjun and I went to dinner 6 weeks ago, then I should post it and add him as a collaborator. Say that word 10 times fast.
Yeah.
Hate that word. So, I mean, I love what we started talking about, engagement, because I think we don't do it enough. I don't think we treat it like what it is, which is a communications platform. Then we need to communicate. And if you're just watching, then you'll never get any activity to your posts.
Yeah, I have a story actually about that, a real life story that I never thought about until today. But when I had my first real like corporate job and I was in an office for the first time with like the whole floor of this huge building was like dedicated to this one corporation. So there was a ton of offices. Like you could walk around the whole entire building and there was probably hundreds of people. And I remember, and again, I'd never worked in a corporate office, so I didn't know that I was making this huge mistake. And so I would walk around as everybody would in the morning, and people would stop and say, good morning, and they'd have their coffee. And like, it was like an hour before you even got to work, basically. But when I was new, I would walk down to go deliver something to someone's office, and I would pass probably 3 or 4 or 10 people. And I didn't say good morning. I didn't stop and say hello. I didn't know that that was a thing. And I got a complaint one time from one of the employees who said, I just don't understand why she doesn't say good morning. I think maybe she doesn't like me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that that was like a thing, that's what we should do. And of course, then, I made great friends with everyone on the floor, and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice that we get to, chat and check in. But it's very similar to social media. You could walk by the offices all day long, and if you don't stop and say good morning or ask somebody how they're doing, how is your relationship going to be with those people when you're like, hey, I really need this thing fast. Is there any way you think you can rush it? And they're like, you've literally walked past my office door 100 times in the past 6 months, and you've never said hello. So nope, can't help you out. I'm so busy right now.
So it's so
Amazing.
hard. I mean, I deal with that in real life. We used to have, obviously, a couple of years ago, a big team, lots of people. And sometimes I feel bad that I haven't kept in touch with some of those that are not currently on the team. Because listen, we were in crisis. We had to get our current core team established and growing and weathering the storm. But now that I've been able to come up for air, just last night I was thinking about an underwriting manager that I haven't talked to in about 2 months, and I'm going to reach out to her, see how she's doing. Hey, how are you doing? How do you like your new job? How's your life? These things are important. Why? Because 2 years from now, I may need a new underwriting manager on my team. And I'm not going to go try to find a stranger with a resume when I had a great one already on my team before. And I just want to reincorporate the people I know, like, and trust. But you lose trust if you don't stay in touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Simon Sinek. If anybody's a fan of Simon Sinek and talks about leadership and what leadership really is and about caring for your community, it's again, we forget that social media, while it isn't real life in many instances, isn't not real. There are real people on the other end of it, and we bring in the real human life into our digital, interactions. And I always tell people in the beginning of 2020, when we all went to Zooms and we would book like 8 back-to-back, because we're like, oh yeah, we're just sitting around at home, like might as well just load up our schedule. And then it was horrible, right? Like we were more exhausted at the end of a regular day than if we were actually out and about. And the reason that people don't realize is because in the beginning of that, nobody had their cameras on. And we have to interact with people. Like our brains were so tired because we were trying to pay attention and there was no other human on the other side. So we forget that, oh, it's technology, or oh, it's a Zoom, or oh, it's social media. And you're like, no, the same, we have the same brain. So the same rules apply. Like we have to have some human connection. So that was another thing that I just remember and thinking, God, I'm exhausted. And then I went to like, I've got to schedule 15 minutes in between each Zoom. And then it became, I'm not doing more than 3 Zooms in a day. And then it became in my emails to people, if you do not have your camera on, you will be removed from the Zoom. And I would be like, click, and I would remove them from the Zoom because I was like, we've got to be able to see each other. It's mandatory for me to connect and communicate with you.
It is important. Chelsea, I have one question for you before we get to somebody else's. It popped in my head because somebody asked me this and I told them I'm actually going to ask you. So since I'm seeing you here, this is as good a time as any. Somebody asked when they were, when I was at a workshop, if you were to share a reel, but you don't choose or elect to have it show up on your actual feed or your, your account
profile.
Yeah. So like if you want it off your grid, is there anything different that actually happens, or are you just basically not showing it on your grid? This guy was convinced that it gets shown to a totally different group of people or more strangers. It goes into the real universe and doesn't stay within your kind of universe, which is a mix of strangers and your followers. Is that true or not true?
Yeah, so basically it's just it won't be shown on your profile, but it will go out to the Reels universe. Now, who it goes out to in that Reels universe, I would think it would go out to the same general people that you already have your other Reels going to, because everything is a process, it's a trigger process. It always starts with a test group of people that already follow you. And if
Mhm.
it tests well with those people, it goes out and tests with people that don't follow you. And if it tests well with those people, et cetera, et cetera. Now, people are shocked to learn because so many people are saying, my reels, like nobody's seeing me. Nobody's like, they forgot I was even here and they like didn't even see my posts. My reels primarily only go to followers. Wild. 98% of my views are from followers, which I love. I think that's great. But everyone's out here saying, well, reels are going to help you grow. Not really in my case. Like they're helping me nurture. Some people have kind of cracked the code and usually it's shorter. It's not, I mean, I know why I'm not getting pushed out. I'm doing 90-second talking head educational videos. I'm not
Yep.
using trending music. I've made a conscious decision to do that. So my story is a little bit different than a lot, but also what your person might have been mentioning or might have heard and might have gotten confused about is it is true. They are testing. I don't have this yet, but they are testing the ability to have a test audience of people that you can send your reel out to. So when you're in that final screen where it
Yeah.
says select your audience, there's going to be a send this reel out to a test audience of non-followers, and it won't actually post at all. It will only go out to those non-followers and you can see if it's gaining traction. And then as long as you push post within 24 hours, it will actually then post. But if you're like, it's not really gaining any traction, then you can click don't post. I don't love that because stuff takes time. Like, who cares if I post something? If they find it 6 years from now, I love that. I mean, great. I love it. Somebody will literally find a podcast you've done, a YouTube video you made 6 years ago, and I want somebody to find that old content. So I don't recommend testing it and then like deleting it if you're like, oh, womp womp, this one didn't perform well. But I do think it's interesting that they are going to let you test your reels before you post them on your profile to people that do not follow you.
It's like taking a second picture on your phone. You're like, oh, I didn't like that one. Let me do it again.
It's fun. And then you're like, but yeah, and then you go back and you're like, yeah, but the first one was great. Like the first take was the best one. Like that always
Yeah.
happens to me where I like re-record something and I'm like, well, I'm going with the first take.
Yeah, that's why I like stories, because stories are just, to me, I do them. I don't know. Maybe I don't even know. I don't ever use a pre-recorded something. I'm always, it's just a
Yeah.
selfie video and I'm just rocking it at live. And it's what just happened to me. To me,
Yeah.
like stories is the play-by-play. Yesterday I had fraud on my credit card. So I was like, oh, well, let me do a
Mm.
story about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could do this all day. Absolutely love this. And but now that you're part of the community, you can post on our pages and
I
share with
would
our
love
people.
to. I would love to. I see there's a couple questions and I know we have
They
about
are. So we're going to
8 minutes.
go a little bit over just so that we
Yeah.
can get to those. So for those of you that need to go, totally understand. Please look out for the emails. We are sending out emails about our next few weeks and about a couple of other things. But Chelsea, yeah, let's rock some of these questions.
Yeah, I'll go really quickly. So IG questions, story, reel, or post, they're all different purposes. So you're going to have your posts and your reels are going to be like nurture, like your current community is going to see those. But also, those could be found by non-followers. So it is an opportunity for visibility, growth, and brand awareness, and also more reach. Whereas stories, pretty much only the people that follow you are going to see that. That's where you're going to convert. So if you're looking at that marketing funnel, reels is sort of at the top, post is sort of in the middle, and then stories is at the bottom because most people are going to reach out and start those conversations in the stories. So it's not which one to use or which one's better. It's we use them all. And they have serve different purposes. Katrina asked about reel remixes. Yeah, you could do a remix where maybe like, let's see, you see Arjun's video and it's a really good one and you want to like give a commentary about it. You see people watching other people's videos and then adding to it. You can kind of ride the wave a little bit if it's sort of like a viral video, but I honestly have never done a remix. I don't know why, I just haven't, but there are some people who will take a really viral video and then we'll do sort of a response to it. So I think it's sort of like a once in a while thing if you want to try that. Reaction videos are kind of what those are referred to. And then last but not least, Craig gets more views on stories than reels. Well, I think that means that you have a good community that's actually engaged in your stories, which is awesome. So make sure
Yeah.
that you're sharing your reels to your stories after you post them, and tell people why they need to go watch the whole thing or read the caption that you've put in there. And you might be, if you look in your insights, you might be one of those people that your content, like mine, goes to a lot of your followers, or maybe it goes to a lot of non-followers. So whole bunch of things we'd have to look at, but I think that it's awesome that you get way more views on your stories. 99% of my business comes from stories, and I love that
Boom.
because
That's
it's
the
my
mic
favorite.
drop moment right
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So spend more time on your stories, engage more with other people, engage more to be engaged. That's the
Yeah.
reality. And don't be fearful, be yourself. And you know, the small talk matters. That's kind of, those are my takeaways from
Yep.
today.
I love
And
it.
I really appreciate you coming on. And it's been like a little fire hose, but it's been awesome.
That's my style. I'm glad to leave you with a little bit of a face meltdown.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Arjun, for introducing Chelsea to the group.
Yeah, thank
And oh,
you.
yes, next week I won't be here. So that's a little bit of a treat. In fact, the
Oh,
next 2 weeks, Don and I are not going to be here. So we have guest co host Jimmy Ryan
yay.
bringing Amir Syed on, and
Nice.
Shayla Gifford. I can't
I
believe I'm
love
going to miss Shayla.
Shay. Oh,
Uh,
she's great.
I know. Talk about someone who's real on her socials, man.
Yeah.
She does not pull any punches.
Yeah.
With Sasha Stair, who's going to host while we're away. Don and I are working, and Don is doing his Rip to Cabo. So we can't wait to share more stuff about that. If you haven't been following Don on his Instagram and his journey to do the Rip to Cabo and the Vet World Championships and motocross, do that. It's been great to follow him there. It's funny. Sometimes, even though I know what he's doing, I still follow him on Instagram to see what he's doing. So thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Arjun. Good to
Guys.
see you always, as always, buddy.
Great seeing you. Thanks
And
for having us,
thank you all
man.
for joining us today.
Chelsea, thanks so much.
Thanks, Arjun. Appreciate you. Talk to you
Appreciate
later.
you too,
Bye,
friend.
everyone.
Love you guys.